Hey everyone, welcome. It looks like I'm a little high over here on Facebook. I am coming to you live both on Facebook and Instagram. So welcome all of you social media people who are here joining me. I am Andrea Owen. I run the joint over here at Your Kick-Ass Life. I'm so happy to be here with you all. Hello, everyone's waving over on Instagram. And I come to you weekly-ish with a short 10-minute or so video on something related to personal development. Lately, I've been going through a chapter a week from my first book, 52 Ways to Live a Kick-Ass Life. And many of you join me weekly. Thank you. You're podcast listeners, or somehow you know that I'm here weekly, or maybe you might be brand new to me. So if you are, welcome. Either way, I'm super glad you're here. And today I'm talking about creativity, really, just like the gist of it. This chapter in the book is chapter 32. I know some of you were actually following along chapter by chapter. That's so awesome. This one is titled Start Something. This is really kind of, I was reading this chapter beforehand and preparing, and my husband's here live. Hey, Jason. I think this is the first time you've ever seen one of my live videos. So this one really is kind of a personal development, life coaching 101 type of chapter. As I was reading it, I was sort of smiling to myself and reminiscing about how I used to write this way a lot. And if you've been following me for any period of time, you might know that I've gone into some deeper topics over the last couple of years, talking about big things like courage and connection and even shame. And I love this because it sort of brings us back to the basics, back to really anyone who loves those foundational tools, who's a seasoned in personal development, or if you are someone who's just starting out, then this is perfect for you. So creativity is that topic that for so many of us, raise your hand if you put creativity on the back burner. You feel like it's a luxury to have time to do something creative. I'm teaching a class right now, my yearly group program that I run called Raise Hell. And there's so many women in there who part of their self-care routine, just taking basic care of themselves, is taking the time to be creative in some way. But so many times we make it a last priority. Or raise your hand if you're that person who's like, I don't really think I'm all that creative. I'm terrible at drawing. I'm not a writer. I don't sing very well. And on and on and on, all the excuses as to why you don't make creativity a priority in your life. I truly believe we are all creative beings in some modality or another. We just have come away from it. I have 2 elementary school children, and I'll tell you what, they draw all the time. They make up stories all the time. They're using their imagination. They are creative. They came out of the womb like that. 2 totally, completely different personalities, but they're creative. And I feel that this is everyone's inherent thing that they have. We just don't do it. So that being said, I invite you this week, or whenever you can carve out time to do that, to spark something, to reignite that fire that you have in your belly for something that you're passionate about. And creativity can go across, it can be so many different things. It could be cooking, it could be crocheting, it could be poetry, like so many different ways to create something. So I'm going to go over 5 ways to tap into your creativity. And again, if you're following along, this is in 52 Ways to Live a Kick-Ass Life. We are on chapter 32, page 137. And the first one is to practice gratitude. And this one may seem like why would that have anything to do with being creative? But this really opens up good feelings and it sparks a part of your brain that just feels good. And the more you feel good, the more kind of, I hate to sound really cliche, but like happy thoughts that you have, the more your creative juices can start flowing. The second one is, and I think this is something that we often don't make a priority either, is read, watch movies, go to plays, go to art museums, go and see things in your community. It amazes me when I'm on Facebook and I see so many things that are going on in my community that I had no idea about. There are ways for you to find out, get these invitations and notifications of events happening in your community that might spark something inside of you, that might inspire you. So do that. Do more of that. You can join or start a book club or a writing club. I know many, many people that do this. People complain a lot that it's so hard to find friends, when you're a grown up. And that can be true, yes. But one thing that you can do is to be proactive about it. And there are writing clubs and book clubs. There is a club for everything. Go to meetup.com and you can find something that you are interested in that is hopefully right near you. That is a way to spark your creativity and really sort of hold you accountable in a lot of ways for doing the thing that you have wanted to do for so long. The fourth thing, and this is one that I've had a struggle with probably, years and years and years. If you're a follower of the podcast, you know that I have struggled with just the entire notion of slowing down, but more specifically, meditating or doing some kind of yoga even. For me, meditation has been really that answer to sparking the creativity in me. And it slows my brain down and allows me to tap into that part of myself, part of my brain that actually creates. I was just listening to, does anybody listen to the TED Radio Hour or even just TED Talks in general? There was one really interesting one, I think it's a more recent one, where there was, and I forget who the speaker was, but she was talking about research that has been done on boredom and how we nowadays, we always have our phones. We so very rarely, she was using the example of summertime when you're a kid, and remember how long the summer felt and how the days would just drag on, and how as adults, we tend to not have that happen. And it's I know for me, absolutely that happens. It's a very rare occasion where I am bored. And so the research says that we actually need that time to slow our brains down so that we can come up with great ideas, so that we can solve problems, so we can have these solutions happen. How many times have you been in the shower, or you're washing dishes, or you're doing some kind of mundane task and you think of something you haven't thought of in a long time, or you remember that person's name that you had forgotten, the name of that movie, or a really brilliant idea. You have a download, as we call it in the personal development industry. I love those moments. I would like to have more of those moments. For me, they happen a lot in the shower. And that's what that is. It's allowing your brain to slow down. Meditation and yoga. I probably don't do enough yoga to say for sure that this happens to me, but I've heard around town that it happens. Meditation for me certainly has been the answer in unlocking that part of my brain that allows me to be more creative. And I'm sure it is the case for so many of you as well. And the last thing, I'm going to actually just read this because I had forgotten that I even wrote this. And I think it's so important and something that we don't ever think of when we're thinking about ways to be more creative and tap into that, is to be a kid again. And I wrote, children have unlimited amounts of imagination and creativity that just ooze out of them. When was the last time you colored in a coloring book or played with Legos or Play-Doh? Here's the thing with this one. Make sure you're tapping into your inner child, not someone else's version. To be honest, playing with Play-Doh makes me want to gouge my eyes out. Still a true story. I had to ban it from our house, but there are other crafts that I will do. So for me to do this in order to spark creativity is futile because I never liked doing it as a kid. Now running through the sprinklers is an entirely different story. Do what you want to do that's childlike and fun. And again, these are just, 5 simple ways to tap into that part of you that I can pretty much guarantee is yearning to get out and has the capabilities to make you a happier person. And that's it. Today is a shorter lesson on creativity and personal development. The next time I am here, I'm going to be talking about victimhood and moving out of victimhood and martyrdom. And that's a place that I think so many of us, if we haven't ever been there, we definitely know someone who has. So I'm going to be sort of in different times of next week, and I won't be here on this Thursday regular at noon, but thank you so much for being here. If you're new to me and you liked this, I do a longer podcast every week. Just go over to iTunes or wherever you subscribe to podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and search for Your Kick-Ass Life. We have 230 episodes. I interview guests and different creatives and all kinds of different people. And then as well as I do solo shows as well every single week on Wednesdays, those drop. So again, thank you everyone for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye.